Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 26th episode of A QISSAA with Ishika, quintessential and inspiring stories of South Asian artists, funded by the California Arts Council Individual Artist Fellow Grant. My name is Ishika Muchal, and I'm coming to you from the unceded lands of the Gabrielino Tongva people, also known as Los Angeles, California. I am so excited to introduce to you my guest today, Vinay Sharma, a highly accomplished musician playing the tabla, dhol, and many other percussion instruments. Through training under Rupesh Kotecha and the late Pandit Ravi Bellare, Vinay honed his percussion skills, found the spirituality behind music in bhajans and kirtans, and developed a niche for himself within Indian musicianship. He has entertained for a host of renowned stars, including Priyanka Chopra, Jonas, Kunal Nayyar, Lil Jon, Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston, and many more. Through the rhythmic beats and melodious tones, Vinay finds solace and a higher sense of purpose, creating an ethereal atmosphere that resonates with both the performers and the listeners. He has used his skill set to bring Indian music to American audiences, blending classical instruments with both Indian and American tunes. Vinay has played for movies like Murder Mystery 2 on Netflix, dance shows, weddings, block parties, festivals, and many other occasions. I am so honored to welcome Vinay Sharma.
Honored to be here. I don't know if you can hear me yet.
Give me 1 second.
No
All
worries.
right. Thank you so much for being here.
That's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course, we met at a strike in May, one of the South Asian solidarity strikes for WGA at the time when it was just the writer's strike, and I'm so glad that we got to connect.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was a wonderful event. I'm glad you guys figured it out, got you guys' contract taken care of, and so I'm
Yeah,
excited for that. Yeah, well done.
yeah. We'll
Um,
we'll see. It's still in progress, but yeah,
I'm sure. I'm sure.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, why don't we talk about the beginning of your journey with music? How did you get introduced to music?
I got to thank my parents for that. They're very spiritual folks, and like got into bhajans and all that. So
Hmm.
I guess in the womb, my mom would sing, my dad would sing, and
Hmm.
so these bhajans, and so I came out like with just a musical sense apparently.
Right.
Every Friday night we would have like some sort of bhajans or some sort of kirtans or something like that at
Hmm.
home, or if not, going to a friend's place. And at some point they honed in that like I had some sort of musical talent, whether I would
Yeah.
pretend to like get a cushion. We had this really funky cushion from the 70s that kind of looked like a harmonium, and so when they would sing I
Uh,
would hum and pretend that I would play. And then like with tabla, they figured out that like I had a Halloween bucket in my Dick Tracy lunchbox, and like pretend like that was a tabla. And so like I would mess around with that. And again, they
yeah.
honed in that like, okay, this guy's got rhythm. He sees it, he enjoys it.
Right.
Let's kind of push him towards that. And my dad was a big fan of making sure that like I got to practice. There would be
Right.
days as a kid I'd be like, I just want to play outside.
Right.
I want to play basketball. I want to go to the sandbox. I want to go just run around and just be a kid. But then he
Mhm.
really was like, look, just 15-20 minutes a day, like just push yourself a little bit, and reflecting back, and I'm so happy he did that, because at the time I was this kid that just was filled with energy. And
Right.
I'm glad that he saw that and really pushed me towards playing tabla and other percussion instruments and just honing in on the music itself. So
Absolutely.
as a kid, again, just really influenced by the spiritual side of it, and it just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, that's really special that your parents were kind of there to support you from the very beginning and
Mhm.
like you were saying, really, really push you to hone those skills because I feel like amongst the South Asians, especially in the arts, so it's rare, I think, to have
Mhm.
parents really support you to go fully into the arts and like invest in music or performance or whatnot. So
Extremely
such a
blessed
privilege.
because they weren't like, hey, you should be a doctor or you should be an
Right.
engineer, you should be this and that, the stigma, right?
Mhm.
They weren't like that. They were, do what makes you happy.
Right.
Figure out ways to finance yourself, in a safe environment, but
Sure.
don't hold yourself back. And
Yeah.
that was beautiful. And like, if there was something that I could tell the world, like, yo, just because you're South Asian, you could do so many things, and like,
Mhm.
and the universe will take care of
Absolutely. Ah, that's special. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
you. Sure.
So you got your start when you were a child, but what made you decide to pursue music as a career or then a full-time career?
I would say back in 2010, I was approached by one of my good buddies named Ajay Montala from Special Occasions DJ and Lighting. So
Mhm.
cheap plug. But amazing guy. Like he wanted me to at first kind of like be a DJ.
Mhm.
He felt like the tempo or the skills that I had as a percussionist could translate in the DJ world.
Sure.
Me, I kind of resisted. I was more of I'd rather just play live music. And so he was
Mhm.
like, well, why don't you try Dole?
Mhm.
And so Dole kind of came about and was like, I'll give that a shot. So I was influenced by, Malinder Torre, her brothers, Jess, Jag, Dole Nation. And like, I
Right.
would watch them like do their thing on, at weddings and events and
Mhm.
barats and receptions. And I would be like, wow, like I could definitely do this just with a little bit of practice, and picked it up.
Right.
I learned how to play Dole thanks to YouTube. So many things you could learn from YouTube, and
Yeah.
like some basic stuff, and like, but the rhythms were already in my mind.
Right.
And so just taking that going into Dole was a pretty seamless transition, although there were some challenges. And then so from that, then I got the opportunities to play at weddings and receptions, and
Sure.
just kind of it took off from there. The opportunities were endless. At playing I had an opportunity to play at Priyanka Chopra's house, and like host, not host, but play for her manager,
Mhm.
her birthday, and that was an incredible experience. And like, there's many other stories like that
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get into a bit later. But it just the it honed in on being real with myself, like how
Mhm.
much time did I want to dedicate to music. I would say I was in the corporate world for the past 10 years, and
Mhm.
how could I interject music along with the corporate world. And so
Right. Right.
successfully I got it done. And now it's a different journey now.
Yeah, I feel like that's always such an interesting journey, like you're saying, of finding that balance between,
Mhm,
at least before you like fully committing to investing fully into music, like finding
mhm.
that balance between how do I make money per se,
Right.
while also being able to sustain myself as an artist and like my craft and continue practicing. But I want to go back to the dhol because maybe not
Yeah.
everyone knows what a dhol is, and I definitely had a phase. Maybe when I was like 9, 10, 11, where I was really obsessed with the dhol, and we got one, and my mom plays it a little bit, and I play it a little bit. So just if you could describe for the audience what a dhol is and, like, what's the experience of playing that versus playing a tabla?
Ah, I would say, okay, so the dole it's a one-piece wooden instrument. It has a treble side and a bass side. Um, to me, it originates from northern India. To me, dole just provides energy. Um,
Mhm,
I could be at a baraat, or I could be at a reception, and like, as long as there's one person like enjoying it,
Yeah.
I will feed off of that energy and just go nuts for that one person. Because that will just take me to the next level and create an experience that's just not forgotten.
Right.
Tabla is more of it's always been a spiritual thing for me. It's been I'm starting to just let go of that
Right.
and enjoy that I can still be spiritual with tabla itself, but I can still have fun with it.
Mhm.
But dhol it's just pure energy drumming.
Yeah.
And the things that I could do with it, my favorite part about dhol is not necessarily playing during bhangra. It's
Mhm.
actually playing during hip hop.
Yes.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
getting a different feel of like, okay, how do I make this drum sound kind of like an American Western drum?
Mhm.
That's always kind of been my bread and butter that like nobody really has duplicated. And if they
Right.
did, awesome. Like I want to hear it. I want more people to do it.
Right.
But that's why I love Adole. It's just pure energy. It's the way I can get my just anything that's pent up, just even if it's frustration, just
Right.
out there and just go at it and make it positive.
Absolutely. I love what you were saying about like you enjoying playing dhol with hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
During my dhol obsession phase, one of the artists that I really loved was Rani Taj, and she would play dhol for like Rude Boy by like Rihanna, and it worked
Yeah.
so well.
Mm-hmm.
It was such an iconic thing that like I when think of that song, I think of the dhol version and not Rihanna's version too.
Right.
Yeah, and it really brings the energy, and it's such a big drum, and you carry it on your body, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
so heavy, but
I mean
so fun.
the shoulders definitely got a little muscle on it.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
yeah, definitely, and for those of you listening that might not know, tabla is so there's 2 drums,
So
right?
tabla has two pieces, right? You have your
Mhm,
treble side again, bass side, and it's literally you're playing with your hands,
mhm,
actually your fingers, right? The
mhm.
dhol is you're playing with sticks,
Sticks, yeah.
and so just want to get some clarity on that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah, so, starting off in 2010 when you started working with SODJ, that's the right name, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, great.
absolutely.
Um, what was that early part of your journey like? And then what was the early part of your journey like after you fully dived into music?
It was so I started off being like kind of an audio tech,
Mhm,
setting up audio and then just observing what the industry was about.
mhm,
It wasn't until like I went to more events and like spent more time that I got to see, other musical influences
sure.
or influencers. And so once I, had that conversation with Ajay, it was all right. Well, let's see how we can interject. I'd also do,
Yeah,
lighting and all that stuff too. But
mhm,
that's where it kind of started and just kind of took off from there. And so,
okay,
and then once I, had, different types of different corporate jobs, it was like, okay, well, let's
right,
just focus on the music side and like not worry about too much on the tech side. So
mhm.
it was, it took some time, but once I got there, it was just seamless, and they work with me throughout my whole career there.
Right, that's amazing. And I know you said that you were born and raised in California.
Correct.
So, of course, you had your parents, like your home inspiration of Indian music. Did you also get exposed to like a lot of Western music growing up in your training, or?
So that was just the love of like keeping the radio on. I
Mhm,
would say my middle sister, she was the one who would always play like different music, whether if
okay.
it's 80s, 90s, and then like I would say around 10, 11 years old. That's when I was like,
Mhm,
okay, I like music.
mhm,
I like music in this sense. So like I would listen to Kiss FM or
sure.
I listen to Power 106 and like just try to figure out okay what do I like and
Mhm,
what do I not like, and then other friends they'd have CDs. Like I didn't really grow up. Funny thing is that I didn't really grow up like buying CDs. It was
mhm,
always other people bought it. I listened to it, just enjoyed the tunes and all that stuff.
yeah.
And some of those influences, for example, like Eminem or Tupac, Biggie, Nas, like one of the most in my opinion, one of the most underrated artists in the hip hop world, because like the way he uses his music, and just his style. He actually pays attention to music,
Mhm,
and uses it for his work. And so he'll use a lot of the old classics from the 60s, the 70s, the jazz and everything like that, and like just somehow just create something just magical.
Right.
And so these guys, like when I look at Eminem, when he's rapping, I look at not necessarily like the lyrics, but I look at the
Mhm.
flow, right? And it's very similar to like even like tabla bowls or anything like that,
Mm,
where it's like, okay, he's doing a 1-2 combination, or a 3-4-3, or something like that, and
sure.
it's like that's how he's flowing.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Even like Bone Thugs and Harmony, I'm like, these guys who just rap like crazy, or like it's there's a method to the madness, and how
Mhm.
they flow, and that's the beauty of what I see, and not
Mm,
necessarily not necessarily the lyrics itself. It's just the music
right.
and flow.
Yeah. And was that an influence on, for example, like on your Instagram? I know we were chatting about this earlier, how you like blend different styles and how you play tabla or
Mhm.
dhol or DJ to these different types of music. Was that an early influence, or how did that evolve for you?
Yeah, no, that was definitely an early influence. I mean, it's music that I love and I enjoy,
Mhm.
and then how to, not necessarily keep things classical, right? Like I respect tabla, I respect the art of it itself,
Right.
and there's ways to do it, professionally and all that good stuff. But I also feel like we shouldn't necessarily limit ourselves, right? If
Sure.
there's a way to do it, and play on top of other music that sounds great,
Hmm.
why not?
Yeah.
If you could put a composition inside of a hip hop track, then so be it. Why
Yeah.
limit yourself? You could still be respectful to the art, the instrument
Mm.
itself, but still have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Growing up, I did Bharatanatyam, the Indian classical dance, and
Hmm.
so of course, in the beginning, we were just training in the classical style of the dance and learning the dance and
Hmm.
like the root and the culture of it. But then I feel really lucky that my teacher allowed us to kind of use Bharatanatyam as a base to then experiment and merge it with different types of styles. So we
Hmm.
would do like Bharatanatyam hip hop combinations and Bharatanatyam like salsa combinations. And like
Yeah.
you're saying, I think it's still definitely, as long as you're like respecting the original art form, but also
Mhm.
um like allowing it to have a conversation with these different art forms while in practice is such a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah. Those were always like my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah, no, that's great. Again, it's all about that respect, right? It's
Mhm.
we want to keep it structured, but at the same time, why can't there be a conversation of let's open
Right,
other doors?
right.
Let's figure out, like, music should be endless. There
Mhm.
shouldn't be any stoppage to that. And
Yeah,
so, um,
yeah.
if there's anything that I could say to folks, it'd be I would take the Miss Frizzle route. Grew up a big Magic Bus fan. Take chances, get messy, make
Mhm.
mistakes, uh,
Yeah,
because that's what you're going to learn from. And so,
right,
everyone's going to have their opinion about, well, it should be this classical and this and that, and you should
right.
practice. Something that I'm seeing more recently is the art of riyaz, practicing.
Mm,
Uh,
mhm,
a lot of folks are putting their content on social media.
mhm.
Um, and a lot of folks feel that practice should be an internal thing and shouldn't be I wouldn't even say monetized, but like showcased.
Sure.
But in my opinion, the beauty about social media could also be we get to see and hear something from across the world or anywhere in the world, and
Right.
learn something from somebody. And
Mhm,
so whether they choose to put something they practice and they make mistakes or whatever the case is, it's okay. Like,
mhm.
you're still learning. And so, as long as there is respect there, and
Right.
you take the proper precautions of, like, look, hey, if there's any mistakes, it's myself, it's not my gurus or anything like that, then so be it. But
Yeah.
I think there's just, again, create this wonder, create this openness, and, like, enjoy it while it's here.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you were saying about, like, you can look at someone playing on the other side of the world and just, be immersed in, like, the different things that they're bringing from their practice, and
Mhm.
it's like you were saying earlier, music has no borders, and it's meant to live together, it's meant to have a conversation together, so thank
Sure
you for sharing
is.
that, yeah. What does a typical day if a typical day exists for you, what does a typical day look for you, as a performer?
Oh god, as a performer,
Musician, yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, so anytime I go into an event, um, I I feed off of just energy. Like
Mhm.
it's the rhythms and everything is all muscle memory at this point. As much as you practice and everything like that, like what your basics are, right?
Right.
If you come up with something new that's or you haven't heard music wise, like say for example, if I'm at a reception or anything like that and I hear something that's new, then I'm like, oh, this is something new.
Right.
I try to play a bit soft because until I feel comfortable with it, I'm not going to do anything crazy.
Mhm.
When it comes to things that I already know, it's all right, how can I elevate this song, right? Let's take
Sure.
for example uh, oh my gosh, DMX's "Y'all Gonna Make Me Lose My Mind."
Mhm.
Right, I was losing my mind on that one. And so I know the song.
Right.
How can I take it to, um, the next level? Right? It's
Mhm.
y'all gonna make me lose my mind. While
Mm.
it's up in here, right?
Yeah.
And like do I sometimes I'll play on maybe just his words, his lyrics,
Sure.
or maybe I'll just stick with the beat. It's just a matter of figuring out what works best at that particular moment and what you truly feel.
Mhm.
I play a lot of my work is based off of feeling.
Mhm.
Um, because it's like I've already again gained that muscle memory.
Right.
I don't know what I'm going to do until it happens in that particular moment. Sometimes it'll be like, all right, this works, and sometimes it'll be like, oh,
Right.
let's get it back. And so as a performer,
Mhm.
right, I look at the crowd, I look at the energy, I look at and a lot of my work is with DJs, and so I'll look at the DJ, making sure that like the transitions are smooth and like my whole thing is they make me look good, I make them look good. Everyone
Right.
works together, and so when that happens, everything should be seamless. And so with any kind of work, it's if there's a lead vocalist, if I'm accompanying a lead vocalist or anything like that, that they're the show. I'm just
Right.
the complementary piece and have to know that like as long as I can hear myself and
Mhm.
it sounds good, we're good.
Right.
And so that's the approach I
Mhm.
typically take when it comes to events. Barats are a little easier because it's I just show up,
Right.
music's there, and whatever the song is, I try to play on top of. But also, again, give and take, right? I don't know
Mhm.
what that song's going to be,
Sure.
the transition, and then go into it, right? And so
Mhm.
there's that's how I look at and approach events,
Yeah.
performances, because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to go viral. I don't know. I really don't. It's and
Yeah.
about that. It's how am I going to make that person jump up and down and go, yeah, or look at that and say, yes, yes, I want,
Absolutely.
and like, you know, that's my take when it comes to performing.
Sure, absolutely. I love that. That it's just all about feeling and like responding. It's kind of like in acting we have like improv classes that we take, just
Mhm,
like being so present in the moment, and that sounds
mhm.
very akin to what you're talking about in the music world.
It is. I wish more people were like that. It
Yeah,
doesn't always have to be structure.
right.
You can have a little structure, but feel it,
Yeah,
be in it. That's my take on music.
absolutely. I want to segue into a different part. The leaving the well, I guess shaping the artist part. Um, uh, uh, the whole purpose behind this series is to highlight specifically South Asian artists. So I
Mhm.
want to ask you, how has your music shaped your identity, and how has your identity shaped your music?
That's ooh. Can we can we table that? Let me think about that. That's a deep
Absolutely.
question because it does require a little more thinking and a little. I'm not trying to be calculated, but a little more thinking on that. Let's
No, of
table
course.
that. Yeah,
Okay, we'll circle back.
perfect.
Okay. So another actually identity related question
Sure.
though. So when you grew up in like an Indian environment
Mhm,
and uh, in an Indian household with Indian music, but when you first started playing, of course, like Indian music is not considered necessarily mainstream in
mhm,
America yet.
correct.
We'll get there. So did you ever feel like a pressure to fit in or to either change your style of music to fit in the American mainstream, or did you ever feel the pressure of like that I'm Indian, I have to represent my culture properly?
Never. I
Okay.
didn't feel that pressure. I think it just magically came, or it
Mm,
naturally came, not magically, and naturally came and was influenced
sure.
accordingly, right? I also thought, like, when I wanted to be a drummer, I thought I wanted to be a Western drummer.
Mm,
And then it just kind of honed in on like the tabla, and like
right.
now I'm like, okay, well, how can I incorporate, or how can I learn something new
Mm,
with the Western style, but still keep it kind of like Indian. I don't
mm,
feel like, yes, tabla originates from India, but it doesn't necessarily mean it has to always sound Indian.
mm,
Um,
mhm,
you can play Western type beats on
sure.
tabla, just like you can do that with dhol. I feel like, again, like, if because I played through feeling and just how the beats flow, I'm very much a, if it sounds good, play it.
Sure. Yeah.
And so there was never any pressure on, like, it has to sound like this, or
Mhm.
I have to, I have to make my South Asian community proud or anything like that. My parents never did any of that. They never
Yeah.
forced that culture. They just wanted me to play and do what I love.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of
And
like
beautiful.
thinking, yeah, it's like thinking of an instrument like an ingredient in a way that
Mhm.
like when I'm making food, I mean, somehow everything I cook, no matter if it's an Italian dish, it'll somehow taste a little Indian just because of like the spices I use. But like
Yeah.
you have that ability and that like mix and match
Mhm.
to use what you want and blend those different tastes. So that's beautiful.
So I
Yeah.
feel about food too. Like,
Yeah.
my girlfriend, she makes the most amazing eggs, and she'll use
Uh-huh.
like a little coriander powder, or a little cumin seeds, and like
Right.
some masala in there, and I'm like, yes,
Oh
the
yeah.
ingredients,
Oh yeah.
right?
The best of all worlds. I
Yes.
guess. Yeah. Well, let me know whenever you want to go back to that question, but if not, we can move forward as well.
Okay, let's go back to that question
Okay.
one more
Yeah.
time.
How has your identity shaped your music and your music shaped your identity?
Because I think my answer is because I played through feeling. I mean,
Mhm.
the identity is, it can be interchangeable. The
Mm,
flexibility is there. It's, if I want to feel a little more Indian, I'll play a little more classical style. If I want to feel and play a little more Western, more hip hop, then
mm.
I'll switch. It's all about flexibility. I think is going to be my response to that question,
Right.
and it can be interchangeable at any point in any time.
Okay. Yeah, that's beautiful. So what were some of the early challenges that you faced in your journey and how did you deal with them?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, the challenges, they all come. They're always there.
Yeah.
It's the little things, right? It's I had challenges in like health when it came to like
Mm,
my hands. Like, there was a point in time where
right.
um, these bad boys here, they would hurt. I would have
Yeah.
like actual pain, like in my thumb, and they
Mhm.
would shoot all the way up. And so, I think it's just, therapy, and just listening to your body.
Mm,
Those were some of the challenges that I had to deal with. I mean, there'll be times where I'll play for hours, and then all of a sudden, like, my back will start tightening up, and
mm,
just means that I'm not practicing as much as I
yeah.
should. But also, again, listening to your body, and dealing with that. Those are some of the challenges. I would also say, um, figuring out, we tend to, I think, artists nowadays, we're all about, how do we make it big on social media?
Mm,
I don't know what that formula is, to be frank. I don't know what goes viral and what doesn't. I just,
right.
whatever I post on Instagram, or Facebook, or whatever the case is, it's just there. If you like it, awesome. If you don't, all good. I don't know what that formula is, and I think that's a challenge. But I think mentally, um, I, I sort of just have to relax on that,
Sure.
let the universe kind of figure its own algorithm out.
Yeah.
Instagram, if you want to hear me, you just, shoot out an algorithm to, make me viral. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But, I think those are some of the challenges, but also just mentally being okay with it's okay if it doesn't.
Right.
The right people are going to listen to your work, and they're going to want you. They're going
Yeah.
to want you no matter what, because you do something that's just different compared to everybody else.
Right. I
And
love that mentality of just like when you're creating it, you're sharing it, and if it's taken, it's taken. If it's not, it's not. But you're there. And I want to go back to what you're saying about like the pain thing, and just like highlighting how every artist whose medium is their body,
Mhm.
it's such an interesting balance of like how do you maintain like being in artistic shape, I guess you could say.
That is hard to answer. I'm
Yeah.
terrible at that. I think now, the older I get, I'm like, okay, well, maybe eat less junk food. Actually go on a walk. I mean, go on a bike ride. Do something that's just
Yeah.
for me. I think the lighter I am, the better. Sometimes some of the foods that I eat. For example, I love tomato sauce, or Italian food or anything like that. But I learned that over the years that it makes my hands inflame. So
Mhm.
that's something that I won't eat prior, to an
Right,
event
right,
or anything like that. Um, Making sure that I'm hydrated also, that's huge, for your muscles and everything like that. So
right.
definitely drinking a lot of water, Gatorades, anything that's just going to keep me
Mhm.
hydrated and not have me cramp up.
Sure.
Especially when I'm playing dhol, with the back and everything like that. Sometimes I will cramp up, and like, it won't hit me until I take a hot shower and then I
Yeah.
go to sleep and I'm like, I
Yeah.
feel the spike and I'm like, wow, I didn't feel this when I was 20.
Yeah.
uh, so
Yeah, and just, like, practicing also.
practicing,
Yeah.
absolutely. Practicing is key there. It's hard for me to say because it's like I used to practice quite a bit, in my younger days. Now it's more, again, muscle memory. If there's
Mhm.
anything I do need to practice, I mean, I might definitely try, to get something in there before I do any kind of recordings.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's usually the key. But
Mm.
practicing, again, eating right, staying hydrated. I think those are some key points to just stay physically, ready to just be the best artist you can be.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Um, do you have any thoughts about what you would like to see change in terms of diversifying the music industry? And if you had, like, a magic wand, what would you do to do that?
I think somebody brought this up. Um, and it made me think about it. If a particular culture, um, like really understood what Indian music could bring to any genre,
Mm.
it'd be over. It'd be a game changer. Um, Say for example, like Timberland, right? If he got a hold of somebody who was like an Indian percussionist and
Yeah.
like, went to town, or even like, let's say for example, Lil Jon, um, like if they got an Indian percussionist on their tracks or anything like that, it would just change the game. I think
Yeah.
what Missy Elliott did it. There were a couple
Right.
other artists, right, who brought a little Indian element into it. Even Jay-Z, right, like Big Pimpin', for example. Funny story on that one. My mom loved Big Pimpin', didn't know what it was about, but loved that it brought that flute element into
Right.
right. It had that like classical
Yeah.
Indian feel to it, and that's what I loved about Big Pimpin'. Was it had nothing to do with the words.
Right.
Don't even care about Jay-Z as an artist, but the sound of it made her like, oh, I want to bump this,
Mm.
and
Mhm,
it's like,
mhm.
all right, mom, let's go.
Yeah.
But the influences, I think people just need to be open, be creative. Like Indian artists need to like let go of it's Indian, only Indian, right?
Mhm.
This is hip hop's only hip hop. Like, no, music is music.
Mm.
You can do it. Let it go.
Yeah.
Be open to it. Be flexible. Be like, you don't know what you can get out of it. It could be a hit. It
Right.
could be a bump, like it could fail. It doesn't matter, right? Again,
Mm.
it's trial and error. It goes back to Miss Frizzle, you know, take chances, get messy, make mistakes. You just never know what's going to work and what's not. And so,
Mhm.
like when Beware the Boys came out, right? Like when Punjabi MC did it, it's
Mhm.
cool. When Jay-Z, sang on top of it, it was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, but it's like, I'm glad you recognize that, and there's
Right.
other people that need to recognize it. And there's so much more that Indian music can offer
Mm,
any genre. Like one of my favorite things to do is actually playing dhol on Latin music.
yeah.
You get a little suavemente, and you're just like,
Oh my God, yeah.
suavemente, besame, dun, da, dun, da, dun, 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 right?
Yeah,
You can play with it, and
right.
so I love it just for that.
Yeah.
You can just see like I'll see people do dancing and they'll hear the dhol and like two suavemente, and just like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
you just made this spicier. Like, how
Yeah.
do you make it spicier? Um,
Yeah,
Again, part of those ingredients, you just gotta stop limiting ourselves and
right.
be open. It's the openness. Everyone, and
Mm,
it has to be open on both sides, right? They got to be receptive
mhm.
to the Indian music, and we got to be, okay to like
Yeah,
let it go. It's
sure.
okay. And I think even Middle Eastern music or just
Mhm.
Latin music, it doesn't matter. Like again, music has no boundaries.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't.
Absolutely. Yeah, what you were saying just reminded me of so many of the times when I would organize like a Diwali event or Holi event at my college, and I would play this like Indian music, and all the people there, especially the people in the music school, would be like, "This goes so hard. Like, where has this been?" Yeah, it's just the
It's
potential of
existed.
Indian music.
It's always existed.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you're familiar with Indian raga.
I am not.
Okay, they're like they blend different styles of music and like it's like a space of collaboration for different Indian artists and just like
Mhm.
artists in general. Very good. And they did Suavemente in
Mhm.
like an Indian remix and also Shape of You. And those are like I listen to those remixes
Yeah,
way more than I ever listen to the original songs. They're
right.
so good. Yeah.
I think an artist that who's doing it well and has done it well so far, Vidya Vox,
Mm,
where she really mixes some of the South Indian stuff or just the Indian stuff with American music, or not even American music, just top 40
right.
music, right?
Sure.
Western music, I should say. And so, I mean, I'm sh- I even heard something recently where it was classical music with tabla, and I was blown away on how like
Mm,
that it just opened up the boundaries there again, like just
right.
broke the barriers on that. And I was like, the way the compositions were created and interjected in that kind of music, like Western,
Mm,
like classical Western music is very structured,
mhm.
and to bring an element of tabla which can have some structure but has freedom can take it to a different level.
Definitely. And also this idea of uh, different styles of music being willing to recognize that other styles of music exist, and
Hmm.
that it's not just them. Like I remember growing up, I did musical theater, and I also learned like Hindustani classical vocals. And I was in like an MT rehearsal, and this woman played a note, and she was like, "Oh my God, no, note doesn't exist." And I was like, "No, it does. Like I recognize that note. It just
Hmm.
exists in a different musical, like in a different
Right.
area of the world because that's very clearly like Indian music that's from a rag that I
Yep.
know." So just allowing yourself to expand what the correct music is for you is such an important thing in that journey too.
So like I play harmonium too, and that's all like on a spiritual basis, right? I play for
Mhm,
bhajans, and so like that's there's a raga structure to that, but for me it's all about
mhm,
I play by ear. I don't know the ragas. I don't know
right.
what it's what the keys are supposed to be. It's I'm gonna play Western style, and if it works, it works. But I
Yeah.
know what the sound of the bhajan or the kirtan is, right? Like
Mhm,
it just
mhm.
it changes it up, but it's like you don't always need the structure. It could still sound beautiful. It could still, resonate in your heart. It doesn't matter.
Definitely. Yeah. So growing up or even now, are there any artists that have been specifically influential to you, like as idols or just people that you look up to?
When it comes to like tabla and stuff like that, I
Mhm,
would say Zakir Hussain, Ustad Zakir
mhm,
Hussain. Um, I mean, just his music in general. The way he like just the way he plays. Pandit Swapan Chaudhary as well. I mean, these guys, the amount of of work they put out there in music in Indian classical music or just in music in general, and I've
Mhm.
contributed. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So a lot of these high senior tabla players are phenomenal, but even their students have been because thank you to social media. Like I've been
Yeah.
able to see a lot of their students play and just crush it.
Mm.
Karsh Kale, like he's been a random influence because he does bring tabla into his music.
Mhm.
And like I'll never forget watching him on Coke Studio on YouTube one day, and was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like the sounds and like what you're bringing, and it's not even like like tabla is just a small piece of it, but how he interjects it and how he presents it, incredible.
Right.
And then the hip hop stuff. It's like the Tupacs, the Nas, the Biggies,
Right.
the Eminems, like that. Those will always be influences on me just because of how they bring the music together.
Yeah.
Not necessarily care about their lyrics, but the music. I mean, they got the ear. They
Right.
figured it out. And Lil Jon, um, Lil Jon is interesting. So that guy has had so many hits, and I didn't realize that. And so I had an amazing experience this past summer to meet him, and
Mm.
I brought in my dole for an opening for the Shazada sisters, and you can find them on Hulu. And so they had me come out play dole, and when I played dole, I didn't realize Lil Jon was there. He was sitting like on a couch, and I introduced myself. Hey, my name is Vinay. I'm the dole player. He's like, hey, my name's John. Cool. Like I had no idea that was Lil Jon. At
Yeah.
a particular moment, we were just talking. Hey, how's life? How's everything going? How's
Right.
your, like a normal one-on-one
Sure.
conversation. And he was just talking, having a nice conversation. Somebody asks for him, and I go on social media. I'm like, oh wait, that's Lil Jon.
Yeah.
And then I go back to him. I was like, "Hey, my bad. I didn't realize you were Lil Jon." And he just busted up, and he was cracking. But
That's so
he
funny.
was sharing his story with me. Right? He
Right.
had a percussion background. He would play drums, and so that like a lot of his music is all beat based. Um,
Mm.
and like after meeting him, and like he had very kind words to say to me. I went back and like really listened to his music, and the influence of percussion just really was a lot of his music.
Right.
I loved it, and so he's another influence for me.
Mhm.
Um, just to say like, hey, the music's again endless, and so if we can interject, like I remember going up right before "Turn Down for What,"
Right.
that song, and I was like, hey, Lil Jon, like, you mind if I put some spice into it? And he was like, yeah, man, go for it. Went into it, turn down for a ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding, and like,
Oh, I
dole
wanna
players
hear that.
kind of feel it and like,
Yeah.
vibe to it. But he was like, let's go, just vibing with it. And
Right.
he complimented me in the sense that where I was located had to do with monitors. Like I didn't have a monitor, and I was playing
Mm.
off of the house music, so I was behind. And he
Mm.
was like, the way you played, yes, it was clean, but you also kept tempo,
Mm.
given that it was coming from the outside and not necessarily relying on
Right.
monitors. And I was like, that's I I try to listen to it, right? I try to
Mhm.
figure out, okay, whatever situation I'm in, I just got to be on beat. And as a drummer, like you have to do that. And so
Absolutely.
don't complain or nothing like that. Just
Yeah.
just make the most out of that situation. And so,
Yeah.
very very fun story with that guy.
Yeah.
He's really sweet. Lil Jon is incredible influence in for
Yeah.
me in moving forward.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear, and it's such a little technicality about, like, the delay and the thing, but you still have to maintain on tempo. That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of Little John, and this is, like, one of your performances that you've done a performance at, you've performed for numerous people, like Priyanka Chopra, like you were saying, and also on Murder Mystery 2.
Mhm.
Among all of these, like, wonderful experiences that you've had, have there been any, like, standouts for you, and what have those experiences been like?
They're all standouts.
We're
There's
all
not like one. There's not one specific one,
Yeah.
because they're all different in their own ways.
Mhm.
Um, like I got a chance to play at Kunal Nayyar's Diwali party a few years back,
Mhm.
and it was just kind of cool to like. He's a normal human being, loves hip hop. He loves,
Yeah.
he enjoyed the mix of like bringing Dole into, his love for hip hop, and
Right.
blown away by that. Priyanka, she was super duper sweet,
Mhm.
incredible host, but she didn't know that she wanted us to do something a bit different, where she wanted us to play "Go Shorty, It's Your Birthday," the 50 Cent song, right?
Yeah.
But then played Dole on top of that, and she didn't know how that would sound,
Yeah.
which kind of funny because I'm like, wait, like I know you listen to music, you've
Yeah.
never heard two things put together like this, and I was like, you know what, I got you. You listen to it, and you'll have a great time. And there's
Right.
actually a viral video that like kind of went out of me playing on the side, and her just dancing, and
Yeah.
she loved it. She enjoyed it.
Right.
Adam Sandler. So when I got a chance to play for Murder Mystery 2,
Right.
that happened like early 2022.
Mhm.
Flew me out to Hawaii. I mean, that in itself, I was like, okay, everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
It was like a 24-hour turnaround. Hey, you got to go get your COVID test. First, then you got to make sure you're not positive.
Right.
Then we'll get you on a flight, go over. And I was like, I was in a corporate job at that time. And I was like,
Right.
hey, I'm not even going to ask, but I'm going to let you know I'm going on this trip.
Right.
My manager was a little upset about that on how I played that, but I understand. I totally
Yeah.
understand that. But got that opportunity to go out there, and I think when we were going through some of the when we were shooting, some of the downtime, he came up to us and was like, so it was me, a sitar player, and a flute player. Flute player was an extra, but the
Okay.
sitar player and myself, we were legit.
Mhm.
And he didn't know that. He thought we were just faking it. And like he comes over to us and he was like, "So you guys are legit, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
play me a tune." All right. So we played him a tune. He was like, "All right, damn, all right, cool."
Funny.
And Adam's like, what you see in Adam, like in films, he's exactly
Mhm.
like that in real life. He's just a good, wholesome guy, um,
Right.
kind of a clown, and
Yeah.
I mean, makes everybody happy, smile, and just the energy is just positive. And so
Mhm.
that those are some of the cool moments that I've had. I mean,
Sure.
even non-celebrity stuff, showing up, and I think just getting opportunities to play at different locations. Those are always fun,
Mhm.
or even just expressing, moments where one person enjoyed what I love to do. I think
Right.
those have been endless. And so that's where I'm at. Like
Yeah.
everything's different. Whether if it's celebrities or not, everyone's equal to me. Everyone's a human being,
Yeah.
not somebody superseding that like whatsoever. So
Sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Every experience is enriching in one way or another, for sure.
exactly.
Yeah. I know you've talked about a couple stories, but since the show is called A QISSAA with Ishika, and QISSAA means episode or story, has there been any extremely influential story or episode that has happened in your life that has shaped you as a person or an artist?
Oh, let's go with my family.
Okay.
Um, just the spiritual, like, just them being super spiritual, um,
Mhm.
them um, always always having my back and support.
Mm.
Um, there isn't one like specific. Actually, no. No, let's think back. I would say like as a kid, they asked me, as a kid, I was like 5 or 6 years old. If there's anything that you could want in the world, what would it be?
Mm.
5, 6-year-old kid, I'm like, tabla.
Yeah.
I'm like, they took that story and told others, and within 2 weeks, I had two pairs of tabla.
Wow.
And like, just because, hey, you have an interest, take it.
Right.
Go learn, go be who you want to be. Honing on that, practice, all that
Yeah.
good. And so that was the stepping stone. Right? That is the
Mhm.
first step of like I guess it's like that manifestation, right? When your
Right.
heart is like aligned with the universe and like
Mm.
you really want something, it can happen.
Oh yeah.
Did I know that as a 5 or 6 year old? No, not at all. Reflecting back, it's like, damn, that happened. That
Hmm.
happened, and it happened in such a wholesome way that um, it's got me here today.
Absolutely. Yeah. I literally have that quote written on my wall, and I've brought it up in the past like couple of kissas that like once you make a decision, the whole universe conspires to make it happen for you.
And
Yeah.
and something again, this something that happened like this year, right? It's so in 2022, or excuse me, yeah, 2022, my mom had passed away.
Mm.
I was in a new job. Mentally, after she passed, I like broke down. I
Right.
was like, this is I I hate what's going on. I hate the
Yeah.
feeling that I'm having. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. Didn't feel like I was learning, and so I had a lot of this anxiety just built up, and I recognized it. Um, and once I recognized it, I quit. I quit that job.
Mhm.
Not even thinking about what the next move was going to be. I just straight up quit. It's like,
Right.
you know what? And they gave me an option. Hey, you want to go and leave or anything like that? I'm like, no, I'm gonna walk away,
Yeah.
not knowing what the next step was going to be. Um, Other than I was going to go get some help, mental health help, and so
Sure.
went through like I got a meditation coach, and he was wonderful. Like really, just focusing on myself, listening to my body, the insides,
Mhm.
just the energy, and just being positive.
Yeah.
So it took I would say 2 or 3 months to really just get right. And then I was like, okay, well, let me apply now that I'm in a good headspace. Started applying and got numerous, callbacks from just folks in general. And
Mhm.
then a month later, everyone ghosted me.
Mm.
I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
A lot of layoffs earlier this year. And so now I'm sort of scrambling as to like, okay, what's the next thing?
Right.
What do I make of myself? What are some of the skills that I have? And that's when music just like it hit. It was like,
Right.
oh, this whole time, like, I'll never forget watching a clip of like Steve Harvey, right, where talks about he was talking to a chef one day, and like this chef was at a dead end job for like 10 years, and like this guy kind of slapping him like, hurry up, get out.
Yeah.
It wasn't until he got out and started becoming a chef that like that was his calling, right?
Right. Right.
Maybe over the years, corporate world, yeah, it was keeping me afloat, but like at the same time, it was like, God telling me, yo, man, go play some music,
For sure.
go do something.
For
And I think
sure.
once I intentionally said, okay, I want to do music full time, that's when the universe said,
Mm.
okay, let me change. Let me create these opportunities. Be patient, but let me create these opportunities for you.
Sure.
No matter how big or small they are, it doesn't matter. I could play for a wine event, tabla, just create some music and create an experience for 50 people. That's not a problem. If you want me to play for 5 people, whatever the case is, 500, 5,000 doesn't matter.
Mhm.
The opportunities will come, but you have to be intentional about what you're doing, and what you want to do. And I think that's the biggest learning lesson for me this year is letting go, trusting the process, and being intentional.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I really love that. That's gonna live in my brain for
It's
sure.
scary. It's scary. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie, but letting it go,
Yeah.
letting it go, especially from a South Indian culture perspective, right? We're so used to again, being a doctor, engineer,
Mhm.
lawyer, something so-called successful. But what is that? Does that make you happy? If it makes you happy, then be the best version of that.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, you're doing it for financial reasons or non-positive reasons. Stop. What are you
Yeah.
doing? Take a moment to do what you love to do. And like families, good Lord, like listen to yourselves, reflect back. Hey, did this really work out for you? Did it not? It's
Mhm.
okay to do something different. You want to be an actor,
Mhm.
you want to be a poet, whatever it is, and you want to make money or whatever the case is, like it can happen. Give
Hmm.
yourselves the time, give yourselves the space, and just be intentional about it.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask you what advice you have for younger South Asian artists, but you basically just said it.
Oh,
But if you have anything else to add,
no, I mean, be kind to yourself. Be
yeah,
like happy. We're on this earth for like what, maybe 70, 80 years, like tops. Like
yeah,
the universe has been around for billions of years, and like you're worried about like, am I gonna score well on my MCAT, or like, am I gonna be a doctor? Like the grand scheme of thing, who cares?
yeah,
Do what you love, enjoy that moment.
yeah.
Be the best version that you could be.
Hmm.
At least that's what I hope to tell my future kids.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
just anyone. I mean, it's scary, but it's okay.
yeah,
Like things will happen.
yeah. Dream and yeah, do it. Yeah,
Dream and act on it. And
yeah,
again, be intentional. Like if you want to own like 100, fast food restaurants, by God, like, be intentional about it. Educate yourself. You want to be a doctor, educate yourself. If you want to, own businesses, or if you want to just, sit around and like enjoy what the universe brings, and go with the flow. By all means, please do.
yeah.
Just be positive and peaceful at it.
Sure, absolutely. Do you have a dream genre that you have not yet experimented with, or a dream collaborator that you would love to work with?
I can't say, because if I do that, I'll limit it. I,
Okay.
I want anything and everything the universe wants to give me.
Mm, okay. All right. I love that.
I
Yeah.
got to be open. You can't say, yeah, this is the artist that I want to work with. No, I want to
Yeah.
work with anybody and everybody who's positive, has a positive influence, and is just awesome to work with. Just
Mm,
don't be a jerk. Like,
absolutely.
if you're a jerk, and I want nothing to do with you. Like,
Yeah.
don't be a diva. Don't be a nah. Just anybody who loves music.
Hmm.
Doesn't matter how big or small you are. I don't just love it and just be positive about it.
Yeah. Just aligning yourself with people who love the craft.
Exactly.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, we're coming towards the end of the show, but I want to know, what are you currently working on and what is next for you?
Hopefully, figuring out ways to create more content.
Sure.
Putting it out on my IG, at so_dolly. Um, that's really the thing. And again, being open and receptive to anybody who wants to collaborate.
Mm,
It's again, it's no bounds. There's no boundaries here. It's whoever wants to work with me, let's do it.
yeah.
And who just wants advice about anything, like, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and you said your Instagram. Is there any other place that people can find you, find your work?
Nah, that's the only thing right
That's the
now.
one? Okay. Sounds
Yeah.
great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Vinay, for being on the show. It really means so much that you took the time out and shared your journey and your positivity and your experience with me and with everyone listening. So thank you.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be on the podcast, or the episode. So
Yeah.
thank you again for considering me, and you know, hopefully I'll see you soon.
Of course, of course. And to anyone listening, if you're looking for a musician to, as you said yourself, spice up and elevate your event or
Yes,
your music, hit up Vinay.
that's
Amazing
right.
artist right here. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in and for listening. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and anywhere else as well. Share this video with whoever you think might be inspired by Vinay's work, or just any aspiring artists or musicians or South Asians or literally anyone. And stay tuned for an announcement of the next episode of A QISSAA with Ishika. And until then, we are signing off. Thank you so much.
Thank you.